USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This is the Tudors, Dynasty, and Beyond podcast. History with a twist. And now your host, Rebecca Larson.
Welcome to today's episode, where we journey back to a turbulent time in early medieval England to meet one of its most remarkable and yet often overlooked figures, Emma of Normandy. Born a Norman princess, she navigated the treacherous waters of Viking invasions, shifting allegiances, and royal intrigue. Twice Queen of England and mother to kings, Emma's life was a gripping tale of survival, political savvy, and power in a world where women's roles were often limited. Join me, Rebecca Larson, as we uncover her story and the impact that she had on the English throne. Born in 990 A.D., at the close of the Dark Ages, Emma of Normandy was the daughter of Richard I, Duke of Normandy, and Gunnar, a woman of Danish lineage. At a time when Viking influence reached deep into northern France and England, the Norman house was still finding its footing among Europe's established dynasties. In 1002, a political alliance was forged. Emma was married to Æthelred II of England, a man over 20 years her senior, with 10 children from his first marriage. Age and circumstance did not matter. Her duty was clear. She crossed the Channel, not for love, but to secure her family's ambitions through Anglo-Norman heirs. During this period, England was once again under threat from relentless Viking raids. Decades earlier, Alfred the Great had pushed back against these invaders, securing a fragile peace and establishing Wessex as a dominant force. But that calm did not last. By the turn of the 11th century, the raids had returned, disrupting daily life, stoking fear, and undermining the crown's authority. King Æthelred was feeling the pressure. His rule was already being questioned at home, earning him the unflattering nickname Æthelred the Unready, or more accurately, the Unwise. In a bid to stabilize the kingdom and perhaps ease tensions with the Viking world, he made a strategic move, marrying Emma of Normandy, a young noblewoman with strong Viking roots through her Danish mother. It was a political match meant to forge peace, but as we'll see, that peace was far from guaranteed. Emma arrived in England at just 12 years old as a child bride, but was already stepping into a world of high politics and power. Though the Anglo-Saxon court was initially cautious of the young Norman outsider, Emma quickly proved she wasn't just there to smile and bear royal children. She immersed herself in court life, learning its rhythms, forging alliances, and slowly but surely earning the respect of those who had once viewed her with suspicion. Æthelred, perhaps eager to solidify her position or ensure her loyalty, granted her extensive land holdings, especially around Winchester. Emma wasn't content to sit back and let those estates idle. She managed them actively, took advantage of her tax-exempt status, and began building her own network of influence. Her standing became even more secure with the birth of 3 royal children, 2 sons, Edward and Alfred, and a daughter, Goda. Emma wasn't just queen consort, she was establishing herself as a political force in her own right. But Æthelred continued to make questionable decisions. One of the most infamous was the St. Brice's Day massacre, carried out on November 13th, 1002. The plan? To eliminate the Danes living in England. This was all men, women, and children of Viking descent who were seen as a growing threat. Some historians argue it wasn't so much a coordinated massacre as it was a desperate attempt to ride a wave of public resentment and fear amid repeated Viking invasions. But regardless of the intent, the result was brutal. Danish communities, particularly those living near the Danelaw in the north, were attacked. Among the victims was Gunhilda, the sister of King Sweyn Forkbeard of Denmark. Her death would have consequences, violent ones. Because this wasn't just a massacre, it was a spark, one that would lead to a full-blown Danish retaliation, and eventually to Emma's world being turned completely upside down. The anger sparked by the St. Brice's Day massacre unleashed a fierce Viking retaliation. Between 1009 and 1012, King Sweyn Forkbeard launched a devastating invasion of England. Facing this overwhelming threat, Emma was forced to flee, seeking refuge back in Normandy under the protection of her father. Meanwhile, Æthelred managed to avoid capture and eventually took shelter on the Isle of Wight, clinging to what remained of his reign. For Emma, returning to England became a bitter ordeal. As Sweyn and his sons, Cnut and Harold, solidified their rule over the kingdom, Emma was left sidelined, watching from afar as her hopes for her family's future hanging in the balance. Sweyn's death in 1014 paved the way for Æthelred and Emma to reclaim the throne. Yet after Æthelred's death in 1016, Emma's position was once again in jeopardy. With 10 children from his first marriage, Æthelred's earlier heirs took priority over Emma's sons. Edmund Ironside, known for his fierce reputation, agreed to split England with Cnut, Sweyn's son, but the arrangement fell apart when Edmund died later that year. Cnut then became sole ruler of England, marrying the widowed Emma in a political union that helped him solidify his power. Their marriage brought forth 2 children. Emma's marriage to Cnut was more than just political convenience. It blossomed into a partnership of strength and strategy. While Cnut was a fierce warrior king, Emma was the steady hand behind the throne. She took on the monumental task of mending Cnut's fractured relationship with the church, whose lands and treasures he had ravaged during his raids. Using the royal treasury, Emma funded the rebuilding of churches and generously donated land and precious artifacts, including a golden cross for Winchester's new minister. She wielded her influence to place her trusted advisor, Stigand, in the powerful position of Archbishop of Canterbury. As Cnut traveled across his vast North Sea empire, Emma ruled England alone. And she ruled well. In a time when women's leadership was rarely recognized, Emma proved that she was a force to be reckoned with. When Cnut died in 1035, his sons divided his realm. Harthacnut, Emma's son, ruled Denmark, while Harold, Harefoot, born from Cnut's earlier pagan marriage, seized England's throne. Emma's world shifted yet again. Her son Alfred tried to defend her claim, but was savagely blinded and left to perish. Forced to flee, Emma found refuge in the north and convinced Harthacnut to return. With Harold's death, Harthacnut became king, and Emma's influence surged. She brokered peace between Harthacnut and Edward, her other son. But when Harthacnut died suddenly in 1042, Edward took power, sidelining Emma by stripping her of authority and expelling her from Winchester Castle. Edward's marriage to Edith Godwinson, a political adversary, sealed Emma's retreat into near invisibility, where she lived out her final years until her death in 1052. From Norman princess to twice Queen of England, Emma's journey was anything but easy. But through every trial, she showed unwavering strength and determination. Her story may not be as famous as others, but it is a powerful reminder that behind every throne, there are figures who shape history in ways we often don't see.
Thanks for listening to Tudors, Dynasty, and Beyond. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening so you never miss a new release. And if you loved it, leave a quick review. It helps more history lovers find the show. Want to support the podcast and get bonus content? Head to patreon.com/tudorsdynasty. You can also find the link in the show notes of this episode. Join the conversation with Rebecca on social media at Tudors Dynasty. Until next time.